Give it to him. Yes!
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. Happy New Year. I hope you all had a great holiday season. Now that we've moved into 2022, I feel like I can really start bearing down on my upcoming tournament season, which is only a few weeks away. I think the last event or the first event of the season for the Major League Fishing Pro Circuit is on Sam Rayburn the last week of January. So we're not too far away. It's kind of one of those things, as soon as we go from December to January, it's like, oh my God, I got so much stuff I got to get ready. I got to start going through rods, reels. I mean, I haven't cleaned anything up. I have a lot of stuff that I normally do during the winter months, and I really have not, I have not gotten a lot of it done. And I think that's because I was able to fish for so long in the fall up until almost December, middle of November, Thanksgiving-ish. And at that point, you turn into the holiday season. It just seems like I've been haven't gotten done a lot of the equipment type stuff that I like to do for the upcoming season. And it's just, it is what it is. I've been spending a lot of time doing like breakdowns for Fish the Moment. Been spending a lot of time working on videos and video ideas and stuff like that for you guys out there in the YouTube world. And it's just one of those things. It's finding the balance of time, as all of you know, to get everything done. It just seems like you never have enough time in the day. But having said that, I have gotten a lot of questions from you guys regarding how I do prepare for the upcoming season and the things that I do during the winter months when I can't get out and fish. I'm looking at a froze over river right now, a bunch of snow on the ground. And it really is kind of a disadvantage for me because I don't have the ability to get out and fish all of the time like a lot of my competitors do that live further south. And it's the choice that I make to live up north, and I love fishing up here. I love spending the summers up here, but the winters can get long and brutal. They really do. So, I've got a bunch of things that I like to do to try to prepare myself for the upcoming season. And just kind of, it's not even necessarily for the season specifically, but it's just a matter of, I like to just submerge myself in fishing. And it really is a whole bunch of different things that I do. And it's really just a matter to keep myself thinking about fishing and trying different things and realizing what might work, what might not work, and going through a whole bunch of different things. And that goes from everywhere from actually getting into my tackle, getting into my rods and reels, taking it all apart, looking at it, cleaning it, getting it ready to go, all the way to the other side. I mean, I've been messing around with a video game called Bass Tourney Challenger. It's a super fun fishing game that I have on my iPhone. You can download it and play it, but it's the most realistic fishing game that I've ever used. So much so that, you start out, the first lake is basically shore fishing, but as you work your way up in levels, you get more different things added into the level. So you eventually get a boat, you eventually can lose fish, you can get power poles, you can get depth finders, you get wind, you get different things that are thrown at you every level you get. And the fish are set up on this lake in good predictable spots. It's you literally drive around the lake with your boat trying to find areas that fish are at. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's a matter of keeping me thinking about fishing. So this game, this Bass Tourney Challenger, it's one of those things where to generate strikes, you actually have to pick the correct bait. You have to work the bait properly to generate those strikes, and you see the fish react to your bait. And I know that that's not necessarily lifelike, but this game is very lifelike, which gets you thinking about fishing. So I've had several instances where I've been messing around with this game, and Hank loves to play the game. Duke's starting to play the game. And it's just one of those things where you watch it and you're maybe working a topwater bait and the fish don't come and bite it. So you go to your tackle box. If you've bought different lures, you can then put that on and actually make different casts and see how those fish respond to it. And that's so similar to what happens in the real world. I mean, out on the water, you can be throwing a topwater and get literally no interest at all. You make a switch to, say, a wacky rig, and all of a sudden you get that fish that was not interested in your topwater to commit to the wacky rig. So it's a really interesting game. I mean, I think I'd recommend you go check it out. Bass Tourney Challenger. I'll throw the app symbol in right here so you guys can see what I'm talking about. And it's just something that I've just been messing around with here real recently. It was brought to my attention. Like I said, my Hank is playing it all the time now, so we've just been messing around. It was a great thing to use in the car when we were driving the hours down to my family in the Chicago area, or the couple hours over to my in-laws' house for the holidays, and it passed the time really well for my boys in the back of the truck. But it was just one of those things that if you play it, I think you'll realize how cool it is, because you can do things like damage your boat. Like I've worked my way up to where I've got a bass boat instead of a rowboat, and it goes so much faster. I ran it into the shore, and now the rest of the game you limp around with a smoking motor. It's one of those things that it's just lifelike. It just keeps you thinking about the sport, and it's something that I've normally not a video game guy much at all, but it's something that's so lifelike and entertaining that it is something that I think is cool and can help you in terms of your fishing. Some of the other things, though, that I do like to do, like I said, I go through all my rod and reels. I look for anything that's potentially broken. Like with my rods, I'll take cotton balls and Q-tips and go around all the ceramic guides and the inserts to make sure nothing's chipped. I look over the rods to make sure that there's no cracks. If there are, then I'll do rod repair work on that. I clean out all my reels, uh, put lube in them, grease them up if I need to, just to make sure that they're functioning properly. I'll even sometimes, guys, I'll go through all of my hard baits, and I'll actually wipe them down with swabs just to make sure that they're not dirty. There's no rust on them. I try to make sure everything's good, because if you get a little bit of rust in your boxes, that can lead to a lot more rust, which then leads to hooks going bad, split rings going bad. So it's going to cost you money to replace that stuff. It's going to cost you time to actually put the effort in to replace that stuff. So I hate having dirt and grime and rust in my boxes. A lot of times I'll end up taking all the baits out, washing the boxes to make sure that the boxes are clean. So yeah, I have a whole process that just comes to making sure that my tackle and gear is in tip-top shape. To do that all takes a lot of time. So that's a big part of my winter months, just something that I really spend a lot of time on. While I'm doing that, I'll go through all of my boxes that are meant for me to swap in and out of my boat during tournament season, and I will actually kind of do an inventory. So if I've got a hard bait box, I've shown you in the past that I like to have boxes separated by types of baits. So if I've got a lipless box, and I started the year with 3 war pigs in the sexy shad color, and I'm down to 1, I'll replace the 2 that I lost or damaged along the way and put 2 new ones in, just to make sure that all my tackle is fully stocked for the upcoming season. And I'll do that with everything. My plastics, I'll do it with my terminal tackle, everything, because I want to make sure I have it by the time the season starts. Because as we all know right now, I mean, you may want something, you may want a pack of worms or a pack of hooks, and you can't find it right now. So if you can take inventory and you have the ability to order it now, you might want to order it now, because once the fishing season really gets up in full swing again, it can be really hard to find tackle. And based on the companies that I work with, it sounds like we're going to have similar issues with 2022 like we had in 2021, where once things are out of stock, you don't know how long it's going to be before they're back in stock. So I like to make sure I've got inventory, and just so I'm ready when tournament season comes. I also will look at my upcoming tournament schedules to see if there's baits that I think I need for those lakes, and if I don't have them, I'll put it on my inventory list where I can make an order to make sure that I get the right baits, the right colors for some of the lakes I may be going to. And most of that isn't really based off of doing research on hot baits for the local area. But at this point in my career, I have been to most of these lakes before. So I know, hey, the last time I was at uh, the Harris Chain of Lakes, I was throwing this worm in this color. And I'll look at my inventory and be like, okay, I might want to order 1 or 2 more bags for that tournament because it worked so well the last time I was there. So a lot of my off season is geared towards that. Once I've got everything from my boat, all my gear, all my tackle, everything in line, at that point, I'm going to switch all of my effort over, and this will probably be towards the second half of January, into doing research for my actual tournament schedule. So that'll be everything from booking houses to looking at aerial photos, kind of putting, I do a lot of Google Earth aerial type research where I'm just looking at the lakes to try to really familiarize myself with them. If it's a lake that I haven't been to before, which, I think the only one on the schedule this year is the James River, I'll put a lot of effort into looking at that one just because when I get there, I want to be familiar with everything from where are the ramps, where can I get gas, where are the marinas, to where different parts of the lake are, or just the basic stuff. I'm not necessarily looking specifically for fishing locations because I don't necessarily know what I even want to fish when I get there. Versus a lake that I've been to, like Sam Rayburn, when I'm looking at aerial photos, I am looking more for fishing locations because I know it worked for me in the past there. So I'm going to try to find more of that so I can look for that when I get there. So it's a little bit different based on the type of lake, but ultimately what it is it's just research for those bodies of water for when I get there. And the last thing that I'll do, and this is usually kind of for an hour or so before I go to bed at the end of the day, is I'll start watching a lot of videos, whether they're old tournament TV shows or YouTube clips, just of people fishing those lakes that I'm going to, because that'll give me a good idea as to what those bodies of water actually look like. It's just something, again, where the more familiar you can be with a lake before you get there, the better it is for you so that you're not surprised by anything that you find. So it's the winter months, really, it's a little bit of everything, but the biggest part for me is just a matter of keeping myself fully engulfed with fishing. I don't want to put fishing on the back burner because I feel like that just slows you down. If you can keep your mind quick, you can keep thinking about it, you're going to continue to feel like you're right in the game. And for me, having several months off from the actual act of fishing can be pretty detrimental. I think a lot of, if you talk to a lot of people that live up north that do have long winters where you can't get out on the water and fish, you'll find that they actually do feel rusty when they get back out on the water for the first couple times. So I really want to avoid that. I don't want to get to Sam Rayburn and feel like my mechanics are not as good. And I know that it might take me a day to feel like I can get back to exactly where I want to, my casting and get all my actual mechanics up to speed, but it's one of those things where it is what it is. I can't fish here, but I can keep my mind bright. I can keep, working on everything else fishing, and I'll feel a lot better about it. And whether that's playing games like the Bass Tourney Challenger or actually working with my equipment, I feel like it's all beneficial. So guys, you got to do what you got to do during the winter months. For those of us that can't get out and fish, some of us, we got to actually play video games, do other things, keep the mind sharp. So I hope you enjoyed watching the video. If you did, hit the like button. We're on the downhill swing. We're after the new year. We're getting to warmer weather. The days are starting to get longer. It won't be that much longer until we're out there. So I'm looking forward to it. But I got a lot of work to do before I can get there. So thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate all of you. And stay tuned for tomorrow's video.